Hello, this video today is about how to correctly verbally cite sources in your uh, speeches and whatnot. I'm going to start off by saying that when you're citing sources and you're looking for available sources, that is to um, the first question I guess that comes to my mind is what is credible. So I did some research myself, and I found out a few websites that were credible and that weren't credible. So I'm going to start with the weren't credible and why they weren't credible. Um, so the weren't credible ones are Greenpeace. Sorry, Lahana. Um, it's actually it did say that it did give good sources and good information, but it has strong political inclinations. So again, kind of want to stay away from biases towards political parties or certain kind of things. That is one source. Another source, staying in the political realm, is Fox News. So different news, different. What I found was different news, different. Like newspapers were good and weren't bad and weren't good. Fox News has again another strong political. It's a Republican bias. So that's not a reliable source, a good source. And also Forbes.com, actually, and a lot of people know the Forbes magazine. It seems like it was some are reliable, and it seemed like it was reliable, but some people that add to that website or it's just a constant farm principle, and it's ran again by a Republican. So those are sources that I wouldn't necessarily use. There's tons more, but the main thing you want to think about is that there's political affiliations. It may be good, may not be good, etc. So now some of the good ones that you do want to do, that you would want to use, again, when you want to use good, credible sources. And again, I almost forgot, Wikipedia is not a credible source. It can be edited by anyone and any information, so it's totally not reliable. No bueno, no good. So I looked up about 3 different websites that were reliable, that were credible. They can use information. PBS is reliable. It's information in biotechnology. It's information source about science, and it's completely reliable and completely good. Another one is EBSCO, which I've used in my other classes before. It's a database and ebook provider for libraries and other institutions, and it has scholarly journals on information. In fact, my informative speech will be looking up some scholarly journals through that. So because it is scholarly, it is very safe. I would highly recommend to use it. And then also another safe one I would say is the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. It's credible and it's ran by the government. So you want to think about the differences between the good and the bad. Are they credible? Are the sponsors behind them biased or not biased, etc. But now to my next part on what this video is about, or what it should be about, is about how to correctly verbally cite sources. So I gave you a small list of good sources and not good sources, but now it's how do you actually verbally cite a source, what to do and what not to do. I would say for a source, so let's use the first instance. Let's say you have a topic on why horses live longer than cows. You wouldn't necessarily want to use Wikipedia for that, again, because it's not credible. Any information can be used for it. I would if you were to talk about horses and the livelihood of horses, a good way to talk about the source would be to, according to Dr. Phil in his article, Why Horses Live Longer Than Cows, he states. Um, that way, the audience knows that you're using a like a doctor or the credible source in the story, and it's not just you. So what you're doing is you're setting it up for your audience and your listeners to understand what you're trying to say, instead of being like, I believe there is a difference between horses and cows, and go through this whole thing, and then at the end be like doctor whoever. That way is not clear, and it would confuse your audience, because it doesn't set up. They wouldn't know who's credible, who's not credible, who's reliable, who's not reliable. Was it you talking? Was it them talking, etc. So another good instance is if we're talking about insects, and we're talking about insects in the world and diversity of the insects. You wouldn't necessarily go to, again, you wouldn't go to Fox News or Peace for information. You'd probably want to go to EBSCO, and you'd want to go to maybe the Environmental Protection Agency, and look up information there. And then once you find an article there, according to Professor Jones, he states yada yada yada, and that way it's setting up a credible, reliable source. You know where it's coming from. You know who's saying what, and yeah. So hope that helped, and I hope I did this video right. All right, bye.